friends. Today we will discuss regarding the last topic of this chapter, molecular basis of inheritance, and that is DNA fingerprinting. This is the last topic, so we will learn this DNA fingerprinting. So we are starting with a topic called as DNA fingerprinting. Here you might have heard a word fingerprinting. That is a conventional fingerprinting. You know that this fingerprint, conventional fingerprint, are also unique from person to a person. If you match the fingerprinting of the different individuals, you find the dissimilarities in them. So this is a conventional fingerprinting. But in the conventional fingerprinting, there are lots of problems. A person should have a hand. Without the hand, the fingerprinting is not possible. The fingerprint, the prints that is present on the hand or the fingers, it gets damaged over a period of a time. So these are the problems which are with the case of a fingerprinting. It needs a hand. But in this DNA fingerprinting, the hand only doesn't require. Even if a single cell you obtain from any place, from this single cell, the DNA fingerprinting is obtained. And the DNA fingerprinting of the two individuals are never same. That means you can able to identify which person DNA it is, or you can compare it, which person DNA it is, or this is a fingerprint of which person. So this is the advantage of a DNA fingerprinting over the conventional fingerprinting. Now, how it is going to be at? All of you know that in the human being, this much number of base pairs are present, 3.3 into 10 raised to 9 base pair, or 3.3 billion base pairs are present. From this 3.3 into 10 raised to 9 base pairs, 99.9% bases are same in the individual. Means this much percentage of the bases are same in all human beings. But only the difference that is going to be exist is just a 0.1 percentage. Only this much percentage is going to be exist. That means from total of 3.3 into 10 raised to 9 base pair, only 0.1 percentage of the base are different. So let's find out what is the 0.1 percentage of the 3.3 into 10 raised to 9. So how we can find 3.3 into 10 raised to 9 into 0.1 divided by 100. Okay, so this is a 0.1 percentage of it. So what happens? Here it becomes a 3.3 into 10 raised to 9, 0.1. So it goes downside in denominator and becomes a 10 raised to 3. It is 10 raised to 2 and this is one more 0 is added, so it becomes a 10 raised to 3. Okay, so it becomes a 6. So how many base pairs are different? 3.3 into 10 raised to 6 base pairs, they are different from human being to human being. If you see the percentage wise, then we can only find that 0.1% difference exists. But when we see that 3.3 into 10 raised to 6 base pair are the different from one human being to another human being. Okay, so this is what we have to find out. If we try to manually find out that what is the difference, then it is a very tedious job. It is very difficult to find out. So a new method have been adopted in this one, that is in a DNA fingerprinting method, where there are differences in the repeated sequences, they are going to be found out. You know that you have learned during the silent features of Human Genome Project, there are few repeated sequences, means the sequences which are repeated 100 to 1000 times. We are finding the differences in these repeated sequences. Okay, and this is the basis of DNA fingerprinting, or it's a principle of DNA fingerprinting. Okay, so this much number of bases, they are different. How we are finding out, that we will see today by step wise. So let's discuss who has discovered this method. Initially, this method, DNA fingerprinting method, that was developed by a scientist called as Alec Jeffrey. Who has developed it? It is a scientist who has developed this DNA fingerprinting is the Alec Jeffrey. The Alec Jeffrey has utilized the principle of polymorphism in the repeated sequences and he found out. So what happens? if you see the DNA of an individual, then there are the two parts. First is a bulk DNA, that is the major kind of a DNA, which is coding, which is responsible for a coding. But other sequences, they are the repeated sequences. They are the repeated sequences. Okay? This bulk DNA, a major part which is responsible for coding, and that is denoted as a major peak, while in the autoradiograph. But these repeated sequences, they are forming a minor peak, and that's why we are calling it as satellite DNA. What we are calling it as satellite DNA. Here we are finding this satellite DNA. The differences in these repeated sequences, we find it by probing this satellite DNA. Okay, so this satellite DNA that is going to be used as a probe and to identify the DNA fingerprinting. So this is a principle how it's going to be work. Okay. Now this DNA fingerprinting that occurs in a number of steps. So what are the steps that involves into a DNA fingerprinting? So here I am listing out the steps which are involved into a DNA fingerprinting. First step that is involved in the DNA fingerprinting is the isolation of DNA. Isolation of DNA means whatever the kind of sample it is, whether it is a single hair follicle or a small quantity of a blood or small quantity of semen or sperm. So any small quantity which consists of a cell and that consists of a DNA, that from this cell we are first separating or isolating the DNA. So this is the first step in the DNA fingerprinting. Second step that is involved into a DNA fingerprinting is, here it is digestion of DNA, means breakdown of this DNA by enzyme called as restriction endonuclease. Which enzyme? It is restriction endonuclease. With the help of this enzyme, we digest this isolated DNA. And due to a digestion, the DNA converts into a fragments, small pieces. The third step which is involved, that is once the DNA that is converted into a fragments or the pieces, we are separating out. So what we call it as separation of DNA. By which way we are separating out? By utilizing a process called as electrophoresis. Okay, so by electrophoresis, the DNA fragments gets separated. So what happens? First step is the isolation of DNA. We are taking out of a DNA from the cell. Second, once the DNA has been removed, we digest it with the help of an enzyme called as restriction endonuclease. Means it's going to be fragmented into pieces. When it is fragmented, one fragment may be small, one fragment may be large, one fragment may be of medium size. So these of different sizes of fragments, they are separated. This separation occurs by a process called as electrophoresis. In this electrophoresis, we are applying a negative current, and we have studied in the starting of this chapter that you know that the DNA is a negatively charged molecule, and when we are applying a negative charge, so between a similar charge, the repulsion occurs, so the force occurs, and so that's why the DNA molecule are separated. So we will learn in detail this principle of electrophoresis in chapter number 11, but here we are applying the negative charge, and due to a repulsion force, the fragmented DNA molecule gets separated out. So this is the third step which is involved in a DNA fingerprinting. Once the fragments are separated based on their size, then what happens? We are transferring it into a paper. Which paper? Nitrocellulose or nylon paper. We are transferring it onto a nitrocellulose or the nylon paper. This is the fourth step which is involved in it. Once it is transferred onto a nitrocellulose or nylon paper, okay, then what we are doing? We are hybridizing it. Hybridization using VNTR probe. VNTR means variable number tandem repeat What is a VNTR? VNTR means variable number tandem repeat. We are performing a hybridization, and this hybridization is performed using the VNTR probe. Once the hybridization is achieved, then the last step which is involved in the DNA fingerprinting is the analysis, or you can say detection by autoradiograph. Detection by autoradiograph. Okay, it's something like you can say that when you are getting the X-ray film, something like this. So this is on the autoradiograph, you are detecting what is the image of, or you are getting the image of this DNA molecule. Okay, so these are the basic steps involved into a DNA fingerprinting. So which are the basic steps involved in a DNA fingerprinting? First step is isolation of DNA. Second one is digestion of DNA by restriction endonuclease. Third, separation of DNA by the electrophoresis, or more specifically you can say that gel electrophoresis. Then transfer of this DNA fragments onto the nitrocellulose or nylon paper. Then hybridization using a VNTR probe. And last, it's a detection or analysis by autoradiograph, because on the autoradiograph we can get an image of this DNA fingerprinting. Okay, so what happens in this case? Here the principle that what we are adopting is by using the VNTR probe. The repeated sequences or the satellite DNA that is forming a minor peak, and that is acting as a VNTR probe. So what is the full form of VNTR? VNTR, it is variable, N means number, tandem, T means tandem, R means repeat. Variable number tandem repeat. This is the full form of this VNTR. It is nothing, it's just the small sequences of the DNA, okay, which has a size of, you have to remember its size, it's very important. It has a size of 0.1 to 20 kb, okay, kilobytes. Here we are measuring in the terms of computer digits, okay, because here we are storing the informations into a supercomputers or the large computers, because it has a lots of information. It is very difficult to retrieve, store in the manual way. So we are storing in the computer, and it occupies this much size, 0.1 to 20 kb. Okay, clear? So this is a VNTR, okay, variable number tandem repeat. Okay, with the use of this VNTR, we can do this. Sometimes what happens that we are getting a very few quantity of a sample, like we are just getting a single hair, or we are getting just one drop of a blood. So what happens in this case? Here the sample is too much low in quantity that it is very difficult to analyze the DNA. But now there is a thanks to one more technique, what we call it as RT-PCRs. Okay, you just simply say the PCR, polymerase chain reaction. With the help of this polymerase chain reaction, PCR, polymerase chain reaction, we are amplifying the DNA molecule. Whatever the DNA molecule we get, we make its million of copy, and with the making a million of copy, we can detect it. So these are the steps which are involved. If we get a very low quantity of a sample, then we are performing the PCRs. Okay, instead of saying the RT-PCR, I am just saying you now just a PCR, polymerase chain reactions, and with the help of polymerase chain reaction, we are performing or we are amplifying the DNA molecules. Okay, so this is the step which is involved in it. Okay, now what are the applications? What are the applications of this DNA fingerprinting? So suppose if I say there is one thing, suppose assume that this is a person A, this is a person B, it is autoradiograph of person B, and this is a person C. Clear? Now this person, these are the three persons, person A, person B, person C. The person C is claimed that I am the children of this person A, how it can be claimed or how it can be proved that this person C is a child of a person A or not? How can we claim? Okay, so here the DNA fingerprinting, they play an important role. So see, suppose assume that here these are the chromosomes of person A. These are the different chromosomes. Clear? And these are the chromosomes present in the person B. These are the bands, different bands, what we are getting. Okay? And now these are the chromosomes of person C. The DNA probes. So when we are comparing this person C, its DNA probe, are they matching? Yes, this one is matching, but this one is not matching. These two are again matching. Yes, these two are again matching, but this one is not matching. That indicates that the person C is a child of a person A and it's not a child of a person B. Okay, clear? Because here the DNA of this person C and person B are not matching. Okay, so this is done with the help of a fingerprinting. So this is one of the application. So here it can be used to determine or to solve the paternity. Paternity means which are the parents, paternity and the maternity issues. Okay, which is a father and which is a mother of a claimed child, that can be solved with this DNA fingerprinting. Because if the person C is the child of person A, then their DNA are matching. And if it is not, then their DNA are not matching. So thus we can solve this paternity and the maternity issues. Second one is, here you can say that with the help of this DNA fingerprinting method, it is very much useful in the forensic science. It is very much useful in the forensic science. Like from the crime spot, the police or the forensic personnel, they can collect blood or hair or sperm or semen, anything. Okay, and if they analyze this DNA and when they are catching any crime personnel, then if the DNA are matching, then means the same person has done this crime. So it is useful in solving the variety of a crime. So it has a very much useful in the forensic science. Okay, so this is a very much important use. It has very good applications into a forensic science. And compared to a conventional fingerprinting, this is most reliable and easy to perform method. Okay, even it is also valid in the court for the proceedings. Okay, so this is the applications of this DNA fingerprinting. Okay, so that's all about the DNA fingerprinting. Here we are ending this chapter, chapter number 6, molecular basis of inheritance. It is a very long chapter, but you have to learn it thoroughly. I advise students, please learn it thoroughly, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.